Hello, my name is Kirioth, Human Plague Bearer and Herald of Nurgle. Oh my god, will it please go away? On the upside, a minor pneumonia update. Should only be take another couple of months for it to shift, although there is a chance that you'll just get it all over again. So that's going to be fun to deal with, isn't it? Anyway, it's so bad. It's so bad. Today, we're going to talk about the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle. And due to my current state of not being able to talk for more than 2 minutes without coughing, this is probably a bit of a shorter one. I apologise. I know I say that a lot, but then you keep telling me off for saying that because you want longer videos. But then I don't want to ramble too much, so we need to find a happy medium. Anyway, Sisters of Silence and Sisters of Battle. Why are we talking about those two together? Well, that's because I've actually seen a few people, a surprising number of people, talking about the possibility of some sort of merger between the two, like a corporate merger. And that is because we had the announcement of the Codex for the Adeptus Custodes, which of course has no Sisters of Silence in it. Why that is the case, I don't know. I'm not Games Workshop, I do not work for Games Workshop. I wish I could tell you why these two organisations that have had a very close relationship for years and years and years, who fought together at the side of the Emperor, who in fact were the only two organisations allowed to come and go from the Imperial Palace as they please because they work together and for the Emperor that well, are not in the same codex. I can't tell you that. I wish I could, but I can't. Instead, Sisters of Silence are going to be in this kind of weird limbo phase where they don't really seem to have a codex of their own, they don't have that many options. And a solution to this, and something that quite a few people seem to think is possible, is that the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle end up becoming one organisation. They end up basically becoming the same thing. Maybe the Sisters of Silence are rolled into the Sisters of Battle. I can see where people are coming from with that. There are superficial similarities between the two. I mean, they're both organisations made up entirely of women who wear armour and carry around swords and or guns. I can see where the comparison is drawn. But despite those similarities, there are sort of distinct and serious differences, not just in terms of their roles on the battlefield, which actually could mean that they would work together relatively well in certain situations, but more in terms of overall attitude, overall ideology, kind of what they view the source of their strength to be, and their overall kind of inclination towards the Imperium or the Emperor. So, the Sisters of Silence are blanks. That means they have no... Well, it's sort of described in the Horus Heresy a few times as though they have no soul, but they also project an aura which severely messes with psychers. It makes channeling the warp and doing things like Thousand Sun based shooting fireballs out of your face kind of difficult. That's why they were so instrumental in the burning of Prospero. Psychic powers just don't work against them. They are nullified. They are called the Null Maidens for that very reason. That's due to a genetic anomaly called the pariah gene, which also, funnily enough, people don't like in general. From baseline humans to Space Marines, no one likes standing next to a Sister of Silence because it makes them feel weird as hell. They just don't like it, which is fair. Really, the Sisters of Silence are almost like the anti-Psyker hit squad. They are absolutely perfectly placed and perfectly trained and have the natural capability to resist psychic attacks, and therefore you're going to want to send them after rogue psychers. That's what they're for. They also, of course, provide serious support for, like the Adeptus Custodes, for instance, who, during the Horus Heresy at least, didn't have any particular psychic defense of their own. Now, of course, with 40k that's changing a little bit, but they have a history, they have a past, the Custodes and the Sisters of Silence, and for good reason. They complement each other very well. The Sisters of Silence also have a kind of interesting relationship with the Imperium as a whole. After the Horus Heresy, they were kind of scattered. They didn't really have a purpose. The High Lords of Terror kicked them out of the Adeptus Terror because, well, they didn't like them. They're weird. Like, they freak people out, essentially, is what it boils down to. And the Sisters of Silence went from being quite a large military wing to being all over the place. There's a few bastions of, 50 or so sisters left scattered around the place, but the overall attitude towards the Imperium was not good from quite a few of them. I mean, it really was to the point where there was at least one group of Sisters of Silence who essentially said, faithful to the Emperor, faithful to the Primarchs, but the Imperium can burn. We don't care. Now that is quite a serious attitude change from when they were serving alongside the Emperor himself. There's also, I mean, they are now back. The return of Guilliman has meant that they have been re-established as an order. They now have closer to what they should have had all this time anyway, and so they're back in the good books, and they obviously still have that faith towards the Emperor, and they still have that faith towards the Primarchs, but overall their ideology and their attitudes are not the same as the Sisters of Battle. In fact, the thing that I think really puts me off the idea of the two of them being in the same codex is that difference in thought process, in just the way that they are trained, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they regard their strength. So, the Sisters of Silence know where their strength lies. It lies in training, it lies in their natural ability to dampen psychers, and it allows them to perform a role that, quite a lot of other military arms of the Imperium just can't perform. They are very naturally suited to that task, and that's part of where their strength comes from. The Sisters of Battle are zealots, they are fanatics, they do not hold the Imperium in any particular low regard because their sheer devotion to the Emperor as a divine being kind of overrides everything. They spend their time equally between training in terms of combat effectiveness and training for battle, and worshipping the Emperor as a god. They regard their faith to be as strong a weapon as any of their war gear. It is the very basis of their attitude. It's the basis of their psyche. It's the basis of what gives them the strength and the courage to fight impossible odds, to carry on after taking the most horrendous of wounds. Their faith is an overriding instinct. It's an overriding force in their minds. It's one of the reasons that Sisters of Battle are so notoriously difficult to corrupt. Whereas Space Marines don't feel fear, they can still feel temptation, they can still feel the desire for power, they can still be corrupted by the suggestions of chaos. Sisters of Battle, in terms of falling to chaos, have an insanely low failure rate because of that faith. The faith is the foundation of every part of their being. Whereas the Sisters of Silence are anti-psyker, where they are specialised psyker hunters, the Sisters of Battle are much more broad, but also much more... again, I have to use the word fanatical. They are about burning the heretic, the apostate. They will hunt down those who do not worship the Emperor. They will go after them with a burning vengeance, and they will literally torch them on the spot. They've not got time for your non-Emperor worshipping bullshit. You will be dead, and that's as far as that goes. Now, could they actually complement each other in battle? Yeah, I don't see any reason why not, to be honest. I think as a combined force, it could be interesting. They could work together fairly well. But in terms of ideology, in terms of ideas, in terms of the foundation of what makes them good warriors, what makes them capable of fighting on the battlefield, the thing that drives them to do what they do, I feel like the differences are too severe. I feel like there's not enough crossover between their respective thought processes for it to make any sense for them to be in a codex together. I feel that should that happen, it would require one of the two organisations to be rewritten to the extent that they would not be true to their original thought. They would not be true to their original stories. It would be an easy catch-all. It would be a simple solution. Stick all the girls in one codex, off you go. But that codex would have to be not true to either faction. They would have to sort of switch it up. It would have to change one or the other to make them more inclined to work with the other half. And I just don't think that's worth it, What I'd like, ideally, is to see the Sisters of Silence actually be built up. Now, of course, this means yet another faction for the Imperium, and I apologise for that, but I'd much prefer the Sisters of Silence to be built up into their own effective force, much like the Custodes are being built up now. And of course, before that, I'd like to see Sisters of Battle get their own fucking codex, their own fucking models, for fuck's sake. But should they be put together? No. Is it reasonable that people think that they could be put together? I think in fairness, yes, because on the surface level, it does make sense. But once you dig deeper into their history, once you dig deeper into their lore, once you come to appreciate the difference in mindset, I think the justification for lumping them together falls away pretty hard. Question is, what do you think? That's what I think. I think they shouldn't be in the same codex. But I can understand why people think they should. But also now, hopefully they won't think that, because they will have thought to themselves, I see the differences. What do you reckon? Should they be in the same codex? Could the Sisters of Silence be rolled into the Sisters of Battle? Could they both be merged into a completely differently named organisation altogether? Or do they need to be separate? Do you want to see Sisters of Silence have their own built-up army? Or like me, do you just want the Sisters of Battle to get their shit, finally, for the love of God? Be interested to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. I always read them, as you know. And in the meantime, feel free to click any of the things all over the screen. Click them if you like. There's a Patreon to subscribe, other videos, all of that garbage. Click if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.